Okay, let's get this thing cracking. Welcome to the party, my friends. I am your host with the most this evening, J Mike, on Twitter at J Mike Check, and I've got a band of merry men with me. A band of merry men. Why can't I say that correctly? That was weird. I think I said bend of merry man, like bend and man, like the. Anywho, English, the English language is difficult, according to some. So, with me this evening, again, shout out to my big homie, Gabe Gearing, who is currently, I don't even know where he is. I think I last checked with him yesterday. He was in Austria. So he's world traveling now. He's big time. So shout out to him at FF Man Bun on Twitter. You can probably check his travels. He posts randomness. He even changed his name on Twitter, not the actual handle, but his name as Zeeg or Zeeg. I don't even know. He's getting all sorts of culture out in the world. So shout out to my man. He'll be back, I believe, at the end of the month. So I'm excited to talk with him again. But until then, tonight's show, I've got 3 guests with me, and they all bring a little bit something to the table that's different than otherwise. So let us see how this goes. First up, we'll go from left to right. First up, on the display screen, what you guys probably see, UTH's own, the man, the myth, the legend, the author, Jordan McNamara at McNamara Dynasty on Twitter. What's cracking, Jordan?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate being on.
Back again. Second time around.
Second appearance.
Yes, you're working your way toward that Letterman's jacket.
Yeah, man, I'm down. You know,
and we don't have
patches on that thing. It'll be great.
And we don't have the budget to get you your own, so we'll have to take it off of someone like Bobby Koch. Shout out, Bobby. Okay. And we'll have to give it to you. You know, once you get the requisite number of appearances.
All right, you just tell me what the number I need to get to. We'll get there.
Fair enough, my man. Moving on. First appearance here on the Open Bar. DLF's own, from the Super Flexible Show, or the Super Flex Super Show. I knew I was going to screw that up. James the Brain, what's happening, James?
Hey, what's going on, my man? This is awesome, man. Bellying up to the bar here with you, to the Open Bar. We're short of man bun, but we got some good guests, man. So I'm excited for this.
My man, yeah. Shout out to Matt Williamson, who gives the belly up to the bar, where I get that from. I love that line. Last but not least, if you see his picture right now, it looks kind of wild on the Google Hangouts. I'm fairly confident that's not exactly what he looks like in real life, but you know what? It's 2018. Yeah, it's 2018. You can never be too sure. At Fat Adam Schefter on Twitter. JT, what's cracking?
Hey, do they serve wine in a can at this bar?
I've heard of boxed wine, but
that's what I'm here for.
You're here for the canned wine, dang.
Canned wine only.
I think that's in the grocer section right next to the canned lobster. Shout out to the Dynasty Dummies up in Maine with their live and canned lobster.
Awesome,
good stuff. So fellas, and before we jump into it, Jordan, I'm gonna let you take it away for a moment, and then we'll jump into some discussion. But man, you've been pouring your heart and soul into this project you've got. Can you tell the people a little bit about it?
Yeah, man, it's great. I've decided to write a book about. We were talking about this before we went on the air. I'm about between 85 and 90 pages into it. The Analytics of Dynasty. I've got a pre-order going on right now, analyticsofdynasty.com. I got a couple articles over there, some previews on some of the data that we'll be looking at in the book. The pre-order is $25. With that comes a free one-on-one strategy session. I'll give you some preview of the analytics in it. We'll talk strategy. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. I did one last night, talked to a purchaser of the book for about an hour. It was great. So check it out over there. And if you have any questions or anything, hit me up on Twitter at McNamara Dynasty. We can talk some more about it. Hopefully we can get into a little bit. I'll maybe give you a preview of some of the stuff as we get talking.
It's analyticsofdynasty.com. You heard it, folks, and I'll make sure to post a to link after the fact as well. Again, a project that I know Jordan's been busting his hump on. It was not intended to be a book. It turned into a book, and it's gonna be great. So I'm excited for that. But fellas, we've got what almost feels like breaking news to some degree today. It's not necessarily brand new, but I feel like we've got a ton to go through. The very first thing that I want to get to, because it really blows my mind. I was on my way home, and a bunch of the guys in my league, shout out to all my guys in the Kamikaze Dynasty, they were talking through this Brandon Cooks extension, and I was like, hey, I'm driving home. Can you guys, tell me what that is? I get home, I look at my phone. 5 years, $80 million. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What am I missing? What are we doing with this?
It's huge to me. That's huge news, man. And immediately the first thing that came to my mind was Robert Woods is probably expendable come next year. Looking at kind of his cap situation, they don't have any dead money next year, and I think he becomes a cap casualty next year. So that was my first takeaway. Was I don't know what that does to Robert Woods long term, but Brandon Cooks, man, I mean, obviously being paid as a top option, they're going to use him like that. I got to think. So I like Brandon Cooks. I like his talent, but I was a little concerned with him being on his third team now in a short career. So I think that it makes me rest a little bit easier that he's going to be there for a while. But man, that was a big contract signing, right? I mean, he's like one of the highest paid wide receivers now, right? So I mean, that was a big deal, man. What do you guys think?
All I heard out of that camp was how they were just drooling over his abilities. They must have seen something that, the Patriots didn't see, I guess, or wouldn't put up with or something. You know what I mean? But all I heard was how, they're like, as soon as he's running routes, all the camp that I watched, videos here and there, they're whispering each other's ear every time he's making a play. So maybe they would just want to lock him down.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was the clip there that they had with the it was McVay, and it was like their first day in OTAs. He's like, man, Cooks is fast. Like it was, a throw from Goff, and it was just
giggling like a little schoolgirl.
Yeah, and I love Sean McVay. I mean, if Sean McVay was a religion, I would convert. I mean, that dude is as good as it gets offensively. So, I mean, sometimes we overthink it a little bit. Like, I don't know, Sean McVay steps up and does something on offense. Like, I'm kind of in. Like, it's just, I just think he's that good of an offensive mind. He's a lot like Sean Payton to me. So I'm in. I mean, I think you just look at how that offense is going to progress. I mean, he seems like he's, right around the top 12 in terms of long-term dynasty assets at the receiver position to me.
Ooh-wee. Wow. I'm so glad you actually brought that up, because I'm looking at DLF's July ADP, and obviously this doesn't bear out the extension information, but if we're looking at where he is currently, Brandon Cooks is wide receiver 19. Wide receiver 19. So just like you were saying, and I think you were making the point, JT, that obviously the Rams, with him not even playing one single game so far in a Rams uniform, the Rams must be supremely confident in the play, not only the player that he is, but the plan that McVay has for him over these next 5 years. 5 years, $80 million. I didn't see how much of it was guaranteed, but Spot Track or Spot Track, however you say it, they've already got it updated. They've already got his information updated, and he signed through 2023. I don't know. He's 24 years old, so obviously sky's the limit for him. Great, but in terms of the offense, we know that Todd Gurley's the man. We know that everything runs through Todd Gurley. But if we're looking at Brandon Cooks, currently wide receiver 19, and Jordan, I know you were saying, hey, he's probably looking at a top 12 dynasty asset. Can we talk about a few of these guys and just tell me whether you'd rather have him or the next guy? Can we do that real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Brandon Cooks, T.Y. Hilton.
Brandon Cooks.
Everybody.
Yeah, Cooks.
Okay. Cooks, Doug Baldwin.
Cooks.
Yeah, I'll go Cooks.
Cooks, Adam Thielen. It's about to get hairy.
Cooks.
Oh, now you're killing me.
You guys were really quick with the Cooks.
With the 5-year $80 million, I gotta go Cooks now.
Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis.
And this is the territory because I'm high on Corey Davis. I think he profiles the number one wide receiver. I think that the upside of Corey Davis is higher than Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks is a safer player. So if I was in a startup right now, I mean, they're really close to each other. I would probably take Cooks over Davis just because I like the security and the safety. Although I think that I think Corey Davis is nearly as safe as Cooks.
Yeah, I like Corey Davis as a player. I don't know that I like his system or his quarterback as much. And that's not a knock on Mariota. I just feel like Mariota's going to get more points with his legs than Goff will. So I think I would go Cooks as well.
Yeah.
You going to make it another sweep, JT?
I mean, it's so hard. I just did grab, to add on to the point, I think that Jordan said, about, in a startup, go Cooks. I just did at 407 in a startup. A couple days ago.
Wow. That's good.
At the time, I didn't know about the contracts, put it that way. I mean, I don't think it was even – was that today? Really today?
Yeah.
Today. Yeah, today.
I've been like I said, I had my head down working, so I didn't even see it. But I feel even better now about it. He's going to open up. He's going to open up those running lanes. Gurley is going to find it. He's going to spread the field. There's so many things that he's going to do, and Gurley is going to benefit. I mean, I don't even know if he could beat what he had last year, but he might come close.
Juju Smith-Schuster, Brandon Cooks.
Oh.
That'll be the last one I ask you, but I'm curious.
Brandon Cooks.
Man, you're killing me with that.
What do you think, James?
Man, this one's really tough for me because Juju Smith-Schuster, man, I think I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks only because I don't know how long Juju Schuster is going to be a number 2 in Pittsburgh, whereas I think Brandon Cooks is a clear-cut number 1 for the rest of that contract probably. So I'll probably wing Cooks, but man, that kills me to say it. That's tough.
I mean, what happens if Bell doesn't sign and he's gone? I mean, where do they bring the coverage over to?
Yeah, and
that's huge for Juju. That's huge for Juju.
That's true. And how much longer has Ben around? I think that's another question that Pittsburgh hasn't really answered the what's going to happen when Ben leaves question. So
yeah, we know that Goff is going to be there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So Cooks.
Jordan, you put your money where your mouth was there with saying that he's probably top 12, and I'd be daggone if every single one of you guys basically moved him right up the ranks there to right there in the territory of fringe. I'm sure if I kept going with names, we'd find a good stopping point for him. Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, Steph Diggs were the next guys.
I think. Say those 4 again.
Sorry, yeah. So Allen Robinson was 13.
Cooks.
Amari Cooper 12. Tyreek Hill 11.
And who's 10? Diggs 10, in there
10,
too.
Yep, 10 was Steph Diggs.
Man, he's a top 12 wide receiver for me. Like I would take him over Diggs, I think pretty clearly. I think I would take him over Hill pretty clearly, and I think he falls in with Allen Robinson. And you said one more, and I'm
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. I think he's right in that conversation. Yeah,
man.
So that's top 10.
Yeah.
Man, I am stunned. I guess maybe just to some degree I haven't internalized it all yet, but and that's been the cool thing about Steph Diggs is that about Brandon Cooks. Shout out to Addison Hayes, ffstatistics.com. The guy has been a top 15 wide receiver over the last 3 years on 2 different franchises, right? So people clearly use him, and I know, and like you just said, the piece that they had, and shout out to Cody Kutzer, my man from DHH. He brought up the fact of that same clip with the cut up where they're, oh man, you see that speed? Oh man, that guy can really fly. just loving and drinking the Brandon Cooks Kool-Aid. So we might be in for a rude awakening with Cooks in terms of what's to come.
Here's what's amazing about him, though, and underappreciated. Ready? His worst stat line over his last 3 years. Ready? Worst one. 114 targets, 65 receptions, 1,082 receiving yards, 16.6 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns. That's his worst. Like that's his floor over the past 3 years. And I don't think he doesn't really look like a number one receiver, but I mean, in terms of he's going to be 25, like in a young offense with good stability and what they're doing. I mean, what worried me is it possible he's going to change teams again? And that worry's gone. I mean, man, it just seems like he's ripe.
Yeah, I remember all the people saying he was only a deep threat, and I just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Roy, this kid is going to be – he is just an enigma in a way when he came out. So everybody was saying one thing, and then everybody saying another thing, and nobody can come together on both that, hey, he's got it both. He's got both down. He's got the underneath game. He's got the long game down. Light it up, man.
I think the main argument that I heard against Brandon Cooks was a lot of people were concerned because, he played with Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and then, you're going to go to Jared Goff. But I think, Jordan, I'm right in line with you, man. Sean McVay he's a wizard. He's gonna find innovative ways to get Cooks the ball. I could see getting him the ball on reverses. He's a playmaker, man. Get the ball in his hands. I think play action is going to be huge. You have to respect Todd Gurley, especially after the season he had last year. So I think with all that kind of working for Cooks, man, this contract extension moves him up for me too. So he's going to be an exciting player. He's interesting because I know not everyone's in it, but the Scott Fish Bowl, we just had it. And Brandon Cooks was one of those guys that he kept dropping. He went in like the 7th, 8th round in a lot of those. It was insane how much he dropped. So that was one of those kind of eye-opening things for me too, was that, that player in particular really had dropped. And so I think his ADP, after this news, I think his ADP is gonna go up pretty significantly.
So we all agree he's top 10 now, or PPR?
I got him top 12 for sure for me.
Okay,
yeah.
I see that.
What's an interesting conversation for me is you look at some of the I don't know, we're in such a weird place in terms of the receiving position because we're getting the guys who had dominated for the last 5 years. I mean, Daz is not signed. You get Julio, who's got injury concerns in his age, in his turning 30. AJ Green's turning almost 30. He's approaching 30. You look at some of these guys, and some of the luster came off that 14 class. You look around, it seems crazy to think that Brandon Cooks is a top 10 wide receiver, but I could see an argument in the debate for him and Julio. I probably would take Julio over him, but I could see the argument for Cooks.
Man, this is
that's awesome.
I'm really stunned. And here's the thing, with you guys helping me talk through this, I'm really having a hard time keeping him out of the top 12, I think. Man, this is unbelievable to me. And I remember when he first came out, even Matthew Berry was talking about how the guys in the Saints team, in the Saints organization, love Brandon Cooks. I think he's going to be, this, that, and the third. And it just being the case now where he's been on now his third team getting paid this mega contract for a team that he's yet to take the field for, but showing that, man, if he can get some consistent targets, the sky could be the limit. And I really do not want to talk about him being in that top 12 area. I'm just having a hard time arguing against it. That's difficult. That's a tough pill to swallow, man.
Yeah, man, I was wondering where you stood on it because we kind of gave our 2 cents, and I was wondering, I'm like, does he think we're crazy or not? What's Mike thinking?
It's not even that you're crazy. I'm just looking okay. I'll say this. I love Doug Baldwin, and I think that the stuff in Seattle makes me a little nervous. Still love Adam Thielen. Think he's an excellent receiver. It's a bunch of super talented guys. I put him ahead of T.Y. Hilton, and I definitely put him ahead of Juju. So I think that I probably maybe have it, maybe top 15 area, maybe. It's just hard, like you were just saying, Jordan. As the years continue to go by, and we're watching Larry Fitzgerald at 34 continue to be a top 10 a fantasy producer. Okay, right. So with these guys who have been elite, so your Julio Jones, your AJ Greens, your Antonio Browns, as they enter this this final push, if you will, the next 3 to 4 years, what are we getting from them? Are they going to continue to be elite producers, which I think that they probably will and can be? I just find it really hard to say that Brandon, like, I don't think I'm comfortable if Brandon Cooks is my wide receiver 1 in a startup. And I think that's what it comes down to. I don't feel great with him. Like, if he's my 2 with this news, I'm feeling grand, right? Yeah. If he's my 1, I don't feel so great, I don't think. But that's just, I don't know. There's a lot to be doled out. And again, they've and that's what the thing. So they just gave him 5 years, $80 million. They've still got to pay IDP darling Aaron Donald. And in 2 years, 2 to 3 years, they've still got to pay Todd Gurley and Jared Goff. I'm just curious how that all shakes out. So in the next couple of years, I think it's great. As it continues to go, I guess we'll see. That's interesting. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to get over this for a while. I think that we found the title of the show already.
Well, let me ask you this. Diggs or Cooks? Because you were sort of stuck in that sort of range.
Diggs.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I've watched, and obviously with Diggs, you're worried about the injury history. But at the same time, I've watched Diggs week in and week out cook people left and right and stay open. Like just make people look real bad. And obviously this is his contract year now in Minnesota, so no telling where he lands, right? But just player for player, I love Steph Diggs. Steph Diggs is definitely top 10 for me. Like that's without question. Yeah, that's where I land.
Now, are you afraid of the Kirk Cousins kind of factor? How his last couple of years at Washington, how he really spread the ball out. If anybody noticed, Crowder went down the tubes. He was kicking ass for a while, and all these people went down tubes. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I would take Diggs too, but I think they're going to light it up there on that offense this year. But are you afraid of that?
Me personally, no. The thing that's the question is, and I think that we're starting to see that continuity in the NFL is something that there's a intangible amount of, or I guess immeasurable amount of greatness that comes with that typically. Obviously, we just watched Minnesota 2 years ago be trash. Offensive line was trash. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't keep Sam Bradford upright. He would just got there, all that stuff, right? So then let's fast forward to 2017. The offensive line improves a little bit. Dalvin Cook's electric. Case Keenum plays like his life depends on it. Yeah. The receivers are amazing and mostly healthy. Shermer works a miracle, and they're at the doorstep of the Super Bowl, right? All of a sudden, Shermer's gone. Case Keenum's gone. And we're left with, okay, we've got a much better quarterback, but what does that even mean coming in? So with Kirk Cousins spreading the ball around, is that more attributed to Jay Gruden and what he's calling, right? Or is it that this is just Kirk, like this is the style of quarterback that Kirk Cousins is? And obviously with variables, like we don't know, we don't have the answer to that. So nominally, I think that Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Case Keenum. Will he be better out the gate, better than Case Keenum was in 2017? I think that's what's going to scare people, is if he's not as efficient or looks as good as Case Keenum did in 2017.
They're going to be like, oh.
Yes, people are going to be ready to riot. Even all those Minnesota nice people, your Scott Fishes, your Tyler Gunther's, all John Paul Hurley, all you guys who are in Minnesota nice, man, these people will riot if Kirk Cousins does not ball. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What's the Minnesota outlook now?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm too worried about it, to be honest with you. The main thing to me is I don't know. I think we're going to find out whether or not Kirk Cousins spread the ball around because he didn't have true number one option. And I like Jameson Crowder a lot, but I don't know that the talent there. I mean, they were trotting Josh Dobson out. I mean, I don't know that the talent there was good enough to where one or two guys could sustain a high level of fantasy value throughout the course of a year. Jordan Reed was a guy.
Or reliability for him, like a reliable receiver who is going to be, maybe Diggs will be that dude where that when he lets that ball go, boom, Diggs will be there for him.
Yeah, and that could be it. That and Thielen. I mean, having those two, could very well. So I think we're going to find out a lot about the kind of quarterback Kirk Cousins is. Is he the kind of quarterback who likes to spread the ball around, or is he the kind of quarterback who did that out of necessity because he just didn't have a guy that he could rely on to always, kind of get open or beat man coverage or beat press coverage or, find a soft spot in the zone. So, personally, I'm not too worried. And I love the moves that Minnesota made on the coaching staff. I mean, they brought in an offensive coordinator who was the quarterback coach over in Philly who got a lot of credit for kind of what he did with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. And I don't know how much credit he deserves, but definitely a guy who has had some success working with quarterbacks as of late. So it'll be interesting to see. But I don't think I'm so worried about it. As a matter of fact, I think that's why I'm a little higher on Diggs this year is because of that. I think it's the best quarterback he's worked with, in my opinion. So I think that should, more scoring opportunities, all that. So, yeah.
Is that the best wide receiver tandem in the league? Diggs Thielen. I guess more fan. Let's just gear it more toward fantasy. Obviously, you've got obviously Antonio Brown, Juju. You've got who else is on here? Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, Demarius and Emmanuel. Those are just the ones that come off the top of my head. Is this the best tandem?
You're talking fantasy tandem?
Yeah. Because right now they're both going as top 16 wide receivers, which the only other team right now that has two wide receivers in the top 16, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, you just look down, you'd think they'd have to be, right? I mean, someone's probably not going to sustain that, I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, they're right there with anybody else. I can't really identify anyone I would take over them as in terms of fantasy. I think that I would rather have in real life. I'd rather have Detroit's weapons. But yeah, I mean, in terms of fantasy, I think that especially Diggs is on the younger side and sort of still developing. Although best finish as of yet, wide receiver 19. So that's still a concern for me. Like that's why I couldn't put him over Cooks.
Hey, but when the dust clears, Landry, Flash. Look out. I'm telling you, man. I'm pumped. I'm telling you, got to throw them in. I mean, you can put them at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to combos, but I guarantee you they'll move up this year into that top whatever 4, 5, 6 duos. I mean, you gotta think that, right? If Gordon could do even half of what he did in that one year, and Landry can be Landry in a way, that's looking pretty good.
That's going to be a question though. So, and we've talked Cleveland on the pod several times, but we can certainly get into it right now. In July DLF ADP, Josh Gordon, wide receiver 20, Jarvis Landry, wide receiver 22. Everybody in Cleveland can't be relevant, right?
Right. No, you're right, man.
And I'm not saying it won't be them. I'm just saying, like, if you're saying it's them, then then what does that mean for the running backs, or what does that mean for Njoku or whomever else?
It's a lot of mouths to feed here,
right?
If you can't do anything with this, I don't know what else they're going to give them. I mean, what else do you need? How many studs do you need in the stable? I don't want to be like a Washington, where they buy talent and then you can't buy chemistry. That's the one thing a lot of people think it's, I got all this money, I'm going to buy all these players and they're going to just be so good together. That's all these egos, all this money. Let's see, this should work. like, and I hope it does. And it looks like so far the Cleveland, what I've seen, around here, and I'll be going to training camp for 3 days and doing interviews, and I really hope to feel it more than see it, because here in Cleveland we're hardcore, and, we're watching every move. It's crazy here, because it's so boring here. That's all we got is football. I'm telling you, it's like, oh man. But no, I think Hugh's going to zero in on the hot hand every week. That's what he keeps preaching all the time. He's going to, if Chubb's got a hot hand, he's going to ride Chubb. If Duke's the hot hand, he's going to ride Duke, so on and so forth. And you know what? I hope that's what he does. And I hope that duo becomes top 3 at least. Fantasy.
Yeah, man. I agree. I can't even add anything. I absolutely agree. That's my thoughts exactly, JT.
Seems like they're the best set of weapons. Like, it seems like they have the best set of weapons for a quarterback. Like, if you are going to draft a quarterback number 1 overall, you should do it the way that they did it, which is to build everything around them and then go get your guy. Because, I mean, they've got weapons at every level. And, I mean, we'll see. Like, I honestly think they could, like, Tyrod Taylor could be in play this year for much of the season. Like, I think they could contend, maybe not push for a playoff spot, but not be out of the conversation.
I'm loving you.
JT's about to faint.
I'm getting all hot.
Yeah, but I mean, you look around, like, there's some questions. There's a lot of questions in the AFC. Like, is it the most? Is it likely? Probably not. But is it the most out of, like, who in the AFC East outside of the Patriots? Right? They could easily be the second best team in the AFC North. Like, you go out west, like, there's questions about quarterbacks with Mahomes. The Chargers never seem to put it together, although they should be there. Denver's going through a quarterback change. I mean, you just keep looking around. What is Houston? I mean, Watson was good for a few games, but still finished 4-12. Like, they have a terrible offensive line. Like, you just sort of look around, and there's, like, the I don't know, 4 through 12 in the AFC. It doesn't seem like it's that far away.
And I've been to a lot of games, and you see. And I can honestly say, even if I didn't grow up here or live here or never even been here before, Browns are ready for every game. They don't care what the record is. They play hard every game. We just can't get it together sometimes. And all these, death ways to lose games that we've done, especially that Baltimore kick failure thing they ran back. That was just crushing to me, dude. But no, I mean, I really hope that if they win 4 games this year, I might have a mini shindig here, little party. Seriously.
Yeah, dude, JT, I'm with you, man. Like, I am. If we get 4 to 5 wins, I'm like, I'm a happy Browns fan. I tell you that much. So
progress. That's progress.
Yeah, and you know what? Not only is it progress, but it's gonna sound terrible, but it's the truth.
Say it.
Dude, if they have 4 to 5 wins, Hugh's probably gone, and I think that's better for the team. So. Awesome. If they're 8-8, man, and this guy keeps his job, I'm gonna be a little upset. So maybe the 5 wins is kind of what I'm going for, the 4-12, 5-11 type thing.
So you don't like Hugh then? You're not a Hugh liker?
I plead the fifth because my mama told me if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say nothing. So I'm just gonna sit here and
sounds like a nice Southern boy.
Wise words. No, but let me, if I may, be a little bit of the cold water here for all this Browns love. Now, we do realize, as much opportunity as we project there to be, we do realize that this team has won 1 game in 2 seasons, right? we do remember that part, right?
Shh. Come on, man.
I just got over not crying myself to sleep at night, and then you do this to me, J. Mike. Man, all right.
I'm just saying, we're talking playoffs and sky's the limit. Yeah, playoffs. I just hope we can win a game. I just don't want us to get so let this train start spinning out of control where James is standing on the edge of his roof and nervous because they haven't won and it's week 17 and like I don't know.
if we beat the Steelers once, man, I'm happy. I'll just say that. If we beat the Steelers once this year, I'm all smiles. So
I'm with you, Jordan. Opportunity in the AFC abounds. With all the questions that are around the rest of the conference, there's still a huge question. They've actually got to show us that they can actually put it together. But what I found was interesting. I think last month they had the 6 guys that were in the top 100, I think, of DLF ADP. So this month they've only got the 5 because looks like Carlos Hyde fell out. He's 119. So everybody can, relax now because they were up in arms and upset. Browns have 6 guys in top 100. They haven't won a game. Like, what are we doing?
It's the end of the world.
Right. I get it. Everybody can't be relevant, but you know what? I think a man can dream. And James and JT as the resident Browns guys, you guys can dream. Maybe, good things are ahead. This may be an actual watershed moment for the Browns. Like, this could be what propels the team to relevance, right? Maybe, right?
You don't get to throw cold water on this and then just try to hype it back up, man. That's not how it works.
You're right.
Yeah, my chub is gone down for that.
Yeah.
Next subject.
Yeah. All right. I got a quick question for you guys. All right. And I don't want to make this totally about the Browns, but I just had an article drop over at DLF today that I wrote, and it was about Josh Gordon and his ADP right now. It's the 4th round over on DLF ADP. I think he's right in the 4th round there. And I even as a Browns fan, I'm not buying him there. What do you guys think? I just basically my main thing is that there's just so much risk. I mean, you're getting a high ceiling, low floor type guy, but he's going ahead of some guys that I think I would take over him. As a matter of fact, he's going right behind Brandon Cooks. So I don't know. I just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts. And what do you guys think? Am I totally nuts in thinking that maybe that's a little bit too high for a guy who hasn't been fantasy relevant for 5 years?
Where is he going at?
He is going at 19? I think it's 44 overall.
44 overall. What's that? Wide receiver like 20?
Yeah, wide receiver 21.
20. Yeah, he's
20.
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
I mean, July DLF ADP overall 42, wide receiver 20.
Mm-hmm.
It's too rich for me.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, JT? As a fellow Browns fan, hey, he's going ahead of Jarvis Landry. Let me ask you guys: would you guys rather have Jarvis Landry or would you rather have Josh Gordon?
Jarvis.
Yeah.
Gordon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got him. What was he ranked at in DLF currently?
Currently ADP wide receiver 20, where Jarvis is wide receiver 22. Got Sammy Watkins right between them.
So I just snagged him. It's probably because I'm a fan, but 306 I grabbed him in a startup IDP PPR. It's a wide receiver heavy bonus for plus 40-yard plays, which kind of leans towards him. He's 30th overall. I grabbed him. I feel good about it. I got Devontae Adams as my number 1. He'd be my number 2. Cook's my number 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's that same league where I grabbed Cooks later on.
So, well, let me ask this, and not to try to spoil your article, James, or anything, but when we look at Josh Gordon, and I mean the man, all the offseason pictures, I mean he looks like Mr. Olympia or something. Like he needs to be on display somewhere as just a specimen of a man.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's great and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what would be, and again, at wide receiver 20, I think that he's just one of those incredibly volatile players, right? In terms of not only the fact that his play can, and we saw some nice flashes, right, at the end of last season. Nice flashes, looked pretty nice in a couple spots. But at the same time, the man is one misstep away from possibly being out of the league. So forget it being the Browns, forget it being an offense that has just not been good for a very long time. Forget the top 6 ADP 100, all that. Boil it down, like you paying that much to have a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 for your team in a startup, and then him messing up and never being seen again. Like, how does a dynasty team bounce back from that? Like, how can you justify that?
Yeah, and I think that's just it, is that if you do that, you better hit on some later picks, either that or you better kind of play it safe with some of your earlier picks. Some guys that have that higher floor, to where you can take that risk on a player that has that high ceiling but really low floor. And if he does bust, you have a bunch of safe guys that can that you can rely on week in and week out, and then a bunch of flyers late that you hope one of them busts out to replace that production. But yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, and that's the thing, is that I really like Josh Gordon. Obviously, as a Browns fan, I mean, we've been waiting for him to be on the field and ready to go for a while. But I'm just cautioning people, just because, like I said, I mean, he looked okay. I mean, he looked the part. The problem is that the numbers weren't very good in 5 games. And if you take the 10 games he's played in 3 years and extrapolate that, he would have been wide receiver 35 last year if you extrapolate his 10 games from the past 3 years for a full season. So it's just, to me, it's a little worrisome, just because I don't know if you're drafting him to be to that ceiling that he had, back 5 years ago, when he was, had 1,800 yards and an insane amount, of touchdowns. I think that you're probably going to be disappointed, is all. So I think the best thing you can hope for is probably this year, at least, I think it's probably low-end wide receiver 2 numbers. And maybe I'm wrong, but I tell you what, JT just said that he nabbed him in the second, but he took Brandon Cooks in the third. To me, I mean, Brandon Cooks in the second is a great pick. So, I mean, then if you get, or he got Brandon Cooks as well. So, I mean, if Brandon Cooks could be his number 2 receiver, and Josh Gordon could be the number 3. And if it works out that way, I think you might be all right. But no, you're absolutely right with that, J. Mike, is that, there's a lot of risk there. And it's not just a looming suspension of 10 games or 4 games. It's a looming, this guy could never play football again type thing. And in Dynasty, I don't know that we've seen that very often, a player with that type of ceiling and that type of risk. So I think you definitely have to take it into consideration.
What do they say? What's the old Wu-Tang line? Scared money don't make money, right? So,
yeah.
so if he goes boom, so Josh Gordon goes boom for your team, I mean, the ceiling for your team is going to be real nice, right? The only question becomes, what's the opportunity cost if you're taking him in the 2nd round or the 3rd round? And I think that's what scares me the most, as someone who probably, and again, I've only played Dynasty. This is coming up on a year for me, my first year in Dynasty. I'm more risk averse typically. So if I'm picking in those first few rounds, I really don't want to screw that up, because I don't want to look back and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I passed on Kareem Hunt or whoever else to get him. That would just make me really sick inside. Really sick inside.
There's like this rock. It's covered in sewage by Lake Erie, and it's kind of like my crystal ball. And I go down there and I like rub it.
Wait, you're rubbing sewage? Is that what you just said?
Yes, I clear the sewage off. Okay, I clear all the beer bottles and broken glass.
Sorry about that,
rub it.
by the way.
No, I rub it, right? And I just see in my head is that, okay, all new people, new quarterback. I think we're going to be down by a lot of games. And all I can see is this huge wide receiver catching these bomb passes. I was trying to catch up 15 games out of the year. And I go, Josh Gordon is my pick. And I hit my phone and I picked it. So that's how I picked Josh Gordon.
I mean, it almost sounds like an out-of-body experience.
It was.
If Josh Gordon
the whole time.
If Josh Gordon does just explode this year, you're going to be looked at as like a prophet, JT. You're going to be looked at as like the fantasy psychic in the community, and we're going to all go to you and ask JT to go down and rub his toxic lock and tell us what will happen next.
It's a toxic stump rock.
Show me the sewage.
And then I was like rubbing it, and I heard Michael Simon's laugh, and he started pouring mustard all over it. And I was like, God. Dudes, that's stadium mustard. He goes, it's straight from Cleveland Stadium. I was like, pour it on the rock. And I was like, I saw Gordon.
How many cans of wine had you had at that point, JT?
I think I switched at that point to I don't even know what it was at that point.
Must have been absinthe.
Yeah, the Green Fairy was flying around.
So James, as you make the pitch to sell Josh Gordon, what are you selling him for?
Well, and that's
what are you
just
looking to get back?
Yeah, and that's I guess that's my thing, is that with being that he's a wide receiver, being that he still has his better years ahead of him still. I mean, he's not 30. I think he's 28. So he's still kind of in the prime of his career. Age-wise, I think you can ask a good amount for him, and that's why I'm advocating selling him now. If it's the guy that's going, early fourth round, I think that you can end up flipping him and getting a good price for him. So I think it depends on the format, but I think I would start with a pretty high rookie pick and another player that you're high on. I think I'd probably look for something maybe like a 2019 first and a Kenny Golladay type thing as a guy that I'm really high on, something like that, and dealing him now. But again, I mean, there's definitely that risk that, this guy blows up and you're going, man, what did I do? So, but I just feel like his value right now is a little bit too high. So I wouldn't take him where he's at, and I'd sell him and try to get what you can for him. So, I don't know. It really depends on the league too. There's a couple of leagues I'm in with a bunch of Browns fans, and I feel like I could probably get a whole lot more for him there. So maybe that's a little bit of it too, is that I can,
give me Saquon and we'll call it even.
Yeah, I could do something like that. I could probably get away with all right, it's a super flex league. How about Russell Wilson straight up? You're welcome. You get Josh Gordon.
Now, Jordan, if you're the Kenny Golladay owner and James throws that out to you, a first and Kenny Golladay for Josh Gordon, are you taking that?
Man,
just in general. I know we're being loosey goosey right now, but just in general.
I'm not a huge Galladay fan, but yeah, I mean, I'm just not a huge Gordon fan either. But I probably wouldn't do it for Galladay, but I could get out for a price like that. That's fine. I'm not a huge Galladay fan. I get the appeal. It's just not for me. But yeah, I mean, I'm out on Josh Gordon. I just you look at if you're drafting him in the fourth round of a startup draft, basically the average wide receiver in that range hits for a starter season 1.5 times. You ever really going to feel good about that with Josh Gordon? I mean, you're going through quarterback change. You're going through, I mean, he's a risk for suspension. I mean, basically those guys hit, they hit 1.5 times for starter seasons, top 24 seasons. And they basically hit 35% of the time 2 starter seasons in the first 3 years. I mean, I just can't be confident that I'm ever going to get close to that with him. Like it can be any week and he's suspended and that costs a shot. And we haven't seen it recently. Like when's the last time he scored a touchdown? It was like 2013, wasn't it? It was something. I mean, it's been a long time. So in terms of we've seen him at his peak, and he's aging and we don't really know what he has left. I mean, he looks great in shorts, but man, I just can't trust him. He's just a player I can't trust. But what's crazy is people can't trust Martavis Bryant either, and he's going 120 picks later than Josh Gordon. I mean, that's something I don't understand. Is how everyone's so confident on Josh Gordon, but not on the same market hates Martavis Bryant. That seems like a clear arbitrage play.
Yeah, man, I agree. I agree fully with that. And that's the thing too, is that I think and you kind of talked about it a little bit, Jay Mike, the opportunity cost. I mean, what are you passing on at that point? And like you guys kind of mentioned, there are some safer options there. There are some guys that they're not attractive names. Guys like Alshon Jeffrey, that's not a name people are gonna go, oh yeah, dude, I gotta have Alshon Jeffrey. But year in and year out, you can kind of bank on what you're going to get from Alshon Jeffrey, whereas I don't know that you can with Josh Gordon. And so that's just it. Like, I mean, there are other guys that are far more consistent contributors. If I'm going to take a swing on a high upside guy, I'm going to do it later in my draft. So that's kind of where my stance on it. But I totally understand if someone wants to do that. And man, it's going to be a risk. But yeah, I mean, if it pays off, like you said, J Mike, I mean, the reward's pretty great.
High risk, high
I,
reward.
I think it'll be really interesting if they can sneak old Baker in there sooner rather than later. That'll be that can be quite tasty, I think, because Tyrod, if I remember correctly, hasn't thrown for more than 3,100 yards in the season to this point. Now, again, a lot of extenuating factors with that in terms of finishing the season out and the Nathan Peterman debacle and things of that nature. Another thing to keep in mind: Josh Gordon, currently again age 27. This is the last year of his deal where he becomes a restricted free agent 2019. So we don't this could be it for his time with the Browns. No telling if they have plans on trading him this season, all sorts of things. So he could play his way into a more prominent role elsewhere, or this could be basically the start of the end. So golly, the Browns. We talk about the Browns every other week, but there's so much intrigue.
He's the ultimate. He's the ultimate high risk, high reward in like every facet of his like game and life. That's insane.
That's a good point, JC.
Yeah.
Very good point. Golly, I still can't get over Brandon Cooks. I'm sorry.
Still reeling.
Yeah. I am. I'm gonna have to really look at that later. I think as I probably parse it out, he'll probably end up being closer to 20 than 10, but daggone. Anywho.
He might be the highest paid decoy ever. Everybody's like, oh, they're gonna use him so much. They paid him so much. They're gonna use him all year. Then nothing.
40, still throwing 7-yard crossing patterns to Cooper Kupp. Come on.
He gets 42 receptions and like 400 yards or something. Like what? Oh man, I hope not.
Oh, that could just be rough. Oh, that could be so rough. So currently, right now, for you guys in your leagues, first of all, how many leagues are you guys in? Specifically, Dynasty. Let's not say best ball and reach.
I think I'm in 14 Dynasty leagues.
Pardon me.
I think I'm right there. I think I'm right around the 14. I'm in 20 total. But I know some of them are redrafts. There's a couple best balls. So I think I'm right around that 14, 15 mark too.
I'm in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight leagues, 2 expert leagues, and 6 IDP dynasty.
Yeah, I think I'm in that range with you, JT. Around 8 or so. What are your leagues looking like in terms of current calendar? Like, have you guys already done all your drafts for your leagues? Like, what are you guys into now?
I've got some split rookie drafts in mind. So I've got rookie drafts that basically take place like the 2nd or 3rd week of August. I should probably look into that a little bit closer on the date, but I think it's right around the 3rd week of the preseason, something like that. The like second 2 rounds of it are in there. So, or the 3rd and 4th rounds, I should say. Second half are in that range. So
wait.
Names. Yeah.
You guys have already done rounds like 1 and 2, and then you do 3 and 4 right before the season.
Yeah, there's a handful of them. I have split. Like split calendar. So it's interesting. Like 301 is really important. Like 302, like those picks are not like first round picks, but like that's a big, like there's a lot more information you can gather from earlier in the spring. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of twist on it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a guy like Chase Edmonds, like
right.
if he's the direct handcuff to David Johnson, who I'm pretty. Is it contract year time for David Johnson as well this year?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so like all of a sudden, like, I mean, I imagine that people are probably offering you, whoever has 301, like you just said, that becomes incredibly valuable. Man, that's so interesting.
Jalen Samuel's looking awful nice right now,
Right.
Maybe I'm
James Conner, man. It's James Conner.
I think it is too. But yeah, I think it is too. I agree with that.
And we haven't even gotten that Le'Veon Bell. Hold on, wait. I want to keep talking this split. I want to keep talking this split draft though. Are any of you other guys in split drafts, or I've never even heard of it?
No, I never did a split draft, but I did a Devy draft, somewhat of a split Devy draft, which is, I guess, different. But yeah, that 301 is, I mean, even undrafted free agents become to light then, and you can really score.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different mix. It's pretty it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either, but I think it's really cool. It's definitely a concept I like. Yeah, something maybe to incorporate into future leagues for sure.
I need to get my commissioners on the line ASAP. That seems like a lot of fun. Is that most of your leagues or just one of your leagues, Jordan?
It's a handful of them. I don't know, 6 or 7 of them, something like that. Yeah. So I played through a site. I played through some when I first started playing this site Quest Football. That's sort of their format. So, and I didn't know anyone, so I just started playing public leagues and have been in a bunch of them, and that's just sort of when they go off. So, like if anyone's looking for public leagues and doesn't sort of know how to get into a league, stuff like that, or, isn't hitting the forums, like it's a good place to just get in some public leagues and just play. And so yeah, that's where I started playing, and now I've met people and getting leagues with friends and those sorts of things. But yeah, that's where I sort of got my start. So I was living in my grandmother's basement, a graduate school graduate without a job, waiting tables, and I was like, I need to do something. So I was like, I'm going to play some dynasty football, and so that's how it ended up. That's how I started.
There you go.
Awesome.
Need to do something.
Yeah.
Yep, dynasty it is. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I need to become a real degenerate, so I found you guys. It's perfect.
Did you wake up like Adam Sandler out of your bed and go, I need to play dynasty football with your eyes all wide?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I gotta do.
Exactly. It was the summer 2012, man. It was a time. Yeah.
That's bonkers, man. Yeah. I feel like wait, before we move on, did you guys anything else going on in your leagues right now? Any kind of crazy trades you've made or anything going on?
I have a trade I want to run by you guys.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right.
So I made a trade. I basically made 2 trades in a startup, and it basically netted this. I had the 102, and I ended up netting through the 102. I gave up Gurley, who would have been the second pick in the draft. I ended up getting Corey Davis, Brandon Cooks, the rookie 106, which hasn't been picked yet. I got a 2019 first, a 2019 second, and a 2020 first.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. All day, every day. I do that, man. I definitely like the package you got.
Trust
it was
the lightest touch.
It was. I ended up starting like 3 wide receivers right out the bat. It was Corey Davis, Allen Robinson, and Brandon Cooks, and it was like, and I sort of had these picks, and it's like it sort of looks. I mean, Gurley's nice, but when it turns into that package, obviously you don't know when you make the deal what it turns into. But that's what it turned into. It felt pretty. It feels pretty good. And the crazy part is you could never do that in an existing league. Like I can't imagine that you could ever pull off a trade like that for Gurley in an existing league. But it's amazing how much value. Like I love doing startup drafts like now because the rookie valuations start changing and everything. You can really get some good. I think you can get a different valuation on players than you could, back in May when the rookie drafts were going off.
Jordan, and my apologies, chat. My goodness, I've neglected you for almost an hour now in terms of shouting you guys out. Shout out to everyone who's watching us on YouTube live, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, never late, always on time, sharp. The chat's been popping off, and we talked a lot of Brown stuff here, but the crew, a ton of the crew's in here. Adam Wilde popped in to say what's going on. He was here for the Browns takes. Mike Stepney's here. Zach from the Dynasty Dummies. Kenny Pops on Twitter at @TheReal3rd in the building, as well as just entering the big homie himself, Jake Anderson at NFL Draft Talker. He wanted to know, Jordan, is that a points per carry league?
Which one, that Gurley league?
With the Gurley trade, yep.
It is not points per carry.
Not a points per carry.
It's just straight PPR, no super flex. It's basically a stack format.
Wow, man,
bro,
that's crazy.
You made out like a bandit. Well done.
So high.
I mean, you got 3 picks, including 2. No, you got 4 picks, including 3 firsts. Corey Davis and Cooks.
Yeah,
that's like. And did you initiate that?
I tried to trade down, like, I was at 102 and they did a third round reversal. So basically I was at 102, 211, 311, and 411. And I was like, oh, this is like, I'm not going to like how this looks. So I basically offered a second, a third, and a future first to everyone in the league to try and move down. I got one person to bite, and then I basically turned one of those picks into a further trade down where I got a second of the 21st, and then one of the other picks that ended up being later on, the 106. So yeah, so that's what it turned into. It was
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was basically a cascade trade. And the one thing, like one of the things, like I notice when I play, people get worried about trading assets that they've just acquired. And like, I'll trade anything at any time, and I'll trade like for the right value. I'll trade at any time. I'll trade anyone if I can get the right return on it. Like my house isn't for sale right now, but if someone comes and offers me 4 times what I paid for it, like money we're moving. And
pack it up. We're getting out.
Yeah. And so I mean, it's just sort of my mentality. But like, if there's one piece of advice, like if you can, like if you get a good valuation on a piece that you just got, like turn it right back over and keep profiting. It's something that it's maybe tough to do. It might be tough to get in that mindset, but man, it can certainly be valuable.
Taking notes as we speak. Fleece everyone.
Yeah, man. I think I need to take notes on how to trade, man. Man. I need to figure out how to do that. So
all that from one bite. That's amazing. Golly, so we're coming up on an hour, which typically of late we've had some pretty wild long shows. I won't keep you guys too long, but we kind of, I don't know if we buried the lead, if you will. Pretty good running back out of Pittsburgh. I mean, he's all right. I'm curious if you can get somewhat of a package that Jordan just got for this guy, Le'Veon Bell. Everybody knows the details at this point. He's going to be on the franchise tag this year. He turned down, I think that was reported 5 years, $70 million. Is that right? Something like that. 5 years, 60, 5 years, 70 with like 30 guaranteed. He'll be making $14.5 million this year on the tag, which is half of what the guarantee would have been over 4 years or 5 years. So him recouping the money is not going to be an issue. But what are our thoughts on Lev Bell at this point in Dynasty? What are we doing with him?
I think I'm in the minority. Personally, I'm not worried about it. I think you're going to hear all the typical stuff. You're going to hear from Le'Veon Bell's camp that he's going to sit out, and there's a chance that he's going to sit out the season, and he's not happy, and this and that. And then you're going to hear from the Pittsburgh side that if he doesn't report before week 1, he's probably not going to play for the first couple of weeks. And miraculously, he'll show up right before week 1 and he'll start. And so for this year, I'm definitely not concerned. In the future, I still don't think that this rules out the fact that he plays for Pittsburgh. I still think they can get something done with him next year in the offseason. But yeah, I don't know. It gets really tough when you're trying to predict what's going to happen with a player after this season. And I'm not worried about him this season. And so I'd probably be fine to try to buy him cheap than I would be to sell him. So that's just my take on it. But
the Rooney family does not mess around, man. Everything I hear, you're playing for the system. You're not playing for yourself, and they're not gonna, whatever I've been hearing, they don't really negotiate like that. So I think this is going to be tougher than some people think. Grab James Conner. That's all I'm saying right now. Just grab him. He's looking good. He's running good. Dude beat cancer. What more do you need?
That's a pretty compelling point.
He was a beast in college. He got overlooked because of the cancer thing, I think. And he may be like our Maurice Hurst. He's like I think he's going to beat his heart ailment or whatever. Different condition. But I'm just saying it takes dedication to beat something like that. And the Rooneys are going to look at him and go, "We got this guy here who overcome all these things, is so dedicated. We got this other guy making rap songs, I don't know if he's dissing us or whatever. I know he's did some crazy stuff. So, not that I'm against rap or nothing. I'm just saying he's just, kind of a loose cannon when it comes to Steelers history. They want those stalwarts type dudes. They want those guys, and they won't pay those guys who are not fit that role. That's my take on it, and that's what I've been reading and hearing.
So they were willing to back the Brinks truck up for him, though. That's a big deal that they offered him. But here's the deal. He's on pace the past 2 years for, if he plays 16 games, 440 touches a season, 27 and a half touches a game. That's just
crazy.
And doesn't it reek of, it seems to me, it just reeks of a franchise that knows he's not going to resign, who knows he's going to show up and play, and they're just like, you know what? We've said this for a long time. Hey, running backs are replaceable to a degree, and you just ride them, and you don't pay them, and then you do it again. And it just seems like he is they're just going to ride him into the ground. Ben's probably on the backside of his career. Antonio Brown's turning 30. It seems like he's just going to get fed this year, and with no real they've got no interest in protecting him after this year. He's going to get fed, and you just kind of worry what that does to his market value. We haven't seen a ton. We saw McKinnon, but Le'Veon Bell's going to have a ton of mileage on his legs, and I don't know what the free agent market's going to bear. I don't think he can make that in free agency. He's going to have almost he'll have right now he's got, I don't know, 1,550 career touches. That's going to be close to 2,000 by the end of the season if he plays 16 games. And that's not even including any playoff games. That's a ton of touches. And, that's I could check, but, that's approaching a career over 6 years. And I know he'll only be 27, but I can't imagine that he's going to make more than that in the free agent market.
I still think that it comes down to guaranteed money with him. If they offer him the 5 for 70 or whatever was reported, and that guaranteed money jumps from 30 to 50, I don't think this is a question. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I think that we forge on, right? At least that's what I'm thinking in terms of as it pertains to guaranteed money. Because at the end of the day, if you're telling me that just from a guaranteed standpoint, I don't know what the escalators or incentives would be. But if you're saying that it's 5 years and I know that he's only getting $30 million, and let's say that they front load it or however they do that, that doesn't if I'm Le'Veon Bell, yeah, I look at that as a slap in the face as well when I've been the heartbeat of your offense for however many years. Like you said, with the amount of touches that he's had in 4 years, that doesn't feel great. And so again, from a reporting standpoint in numbers, I have no idea, but if I'm him, I don't feel great either. But if the 30 number is correct, and I know Jake, you're shouting out, wasn't necessarily the guarantee. I guess I'm saying he's getting half of that now this season. Somebody's going to pay that man next year, and it may not be more than 30 million guaranteed, but already he's getting the 15 now, right? So the 30 plus that he'll get guaranteed even next year, that's still going to be more than what they were offering, what the Steelers were offering from a guaranteed standpoint. So if we look around the league, the Jets looking awfully pitiful. Buffalo, pretty sure they're going to be needing a running back. Sad situation going on, or whatever else is going on. That entire offense is just trash. AFC East, shame on you for allowing New England to just run stuff for as long as you have, and for being absolute garbage. Shame on you, Miami. Shame on you, Buffalo. Shame on you, New York Jets. I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest. Buffalo, but I mean, they don't have anybody, right? Who are they paying? Kelvin Benjamin right now on offense? Charles Clay, right? I mean, Eric Wood just retired. Or like, there's like, what do they have?
Yeah, and I think another overviewed aspect of it too is that, you know, a lot of teams are going to pay a free agent like Le'Veon Bell only because they got to put butts in the stands or in the seats. You know, I mean, if you sign a high profile guy like Le'Veon Bell, you expect that you're going to sell jerseys. You expect that he's going to bring more fans to the stadium. There are teams that are going to look at that as a valuable, you know, a valuable part of bringing a guy like Le'Veon Bell in. Because if he ends up hitting free agency and he has a good year, I think he's going to be one of those top guys, one of those high profile guys. And if he goes to a new team, you know, that owner is going to look at it as, hey, man, this is an investment. We're going to get more fans. We're going to get more jerseys. We're going to get all that. You know, we're going to recoup some of this money. So I think that's another aspect that we kind of got to look at is he's a big enough name and he's kind of built his brand up a little bit to where, you know, he can be viewed as an investment in that regard too, even, you know, separate from what he can do on the field for that team.
Yeah, he's a special back. You know, I mean, it's
Very
a lot of
special.
carries. It's a lot of carries. It is a lot of touches, even without the playoffs. But he's a special back, man. He's very well conditioned. His only thing in my eyes is his ego. You know, he don't want the money from the Steelers, but I bet he would take less to play against them 2 times a year. You know, just to prove them that you're like, hey, man, you know, like kind of like Brett Favre did to the Packers. You know what I mean? Like I could see him doing that. Going, yeah, I'll take the $5 million cut just so I can play them twice a year and show
Goes to Baltimore.
I am.
Oh my
gosh.
Oh my god!
Wow.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Baltimore.
Yeah. Wow.
That would be the biggest, the most giant FU if he went to Baltimore.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, that's the dude's ego. That's why he didn't sign that contract. He wants to. Who's the high? If he would have signed it, would he have been the highest in the league? I mean, who's the highest right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, McKinnon just got paid $7. Well, yeah, Jake just posted it. I'm pretty. Yes,
I think
McKinnon just got $7.5 a year.
So is he's no way. He's the highest right
No,
now.
he's the 5th highest, I think. I'll check right now. I'm pretty sure it's Devontae Freeman.
I want to say early, but I'm probably wrong.
Freeman's the highest at 8.25 a year. McCoy's at 8. Barkley's at 7.8.
So he would be.
I saw something.
Yeah, he would be well over the highest bid per year.
I saw something tweeted out that Ezekiel Elliott has made more in his 2-year career than Bell has in his 5s.
Yes.
Which is insane to me. Like that's got to be a chip on your shoulder on why you want to get paid at this point if you're Le'Veon Bell too. Like,
yep. He knows he's special.
Yeah, just
he knows his patience is outrageously awesome.
So James, I know earlier you said on your dynasty teams you're not worried about it. You're riding with Lev Bell. I'm like, no, get away from me with your offers. I'm good. Like, how do you guys feel about Lev Bell? Are you keeping him on your dynasty teams? Are you scared? Like, what are you doing now to prep for, I guess, the storm that is coming? All right, or not.
Who was that to me? Was that to me, or was that? I thought you said James.
No, I was saying James was good with keeping him.
Oh, sorry.
So between it's all good. So Jordan and JT,
hey,
what do you guys?
Jordan. Cut him off. He's done at the bar. He's passing out.
All the coffee and water I'm drinking. Yeah, it's
getting me out of control. Bar. Get your head up.
Crazy. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I sort of that touch. I mean, like I said, I'll trade anything at any time. You know, if I could get a first round startup valuation for him, you know, if I get a top half of first round startup valuation for him, I'm cashing out. I worry about the team change. I worry about the touch count. Like they're going to and here's the deal. Like we know that, like from a sports science perspective, we know that players that come back, you know, right when they come back into camp is when they're most susceptible to injury, like ACLs and those sorts of things. We sort of know that from the medical community. I mean, he got away with it last year, and that's good. You know, a lot of things point to sort of a big caution flag to me. So if I can cash out at full price, I'm willing to do that. I'm not going to sell short, but I would want multiple premium pieces for him to move him. But I would be willing to do that.
Let me ask this. So if we're just looking at July ADP that we did before, excuse me, are you taking? I don't know. Let's throw this out. Are you taking Kareem Hunt straight up
for Le'Veon Bell?
Yep.
No. I'm taking Le'Veon Bell.
What about you guys? I know, James, you're not. What about you, JT?
I'll take Bell.
Me too. And I'm lower on Kareem Hunt than most, so I was curious where you guys landed. Someone's offering you Alvin Kamara for Lev Bell straight up.
Love Bell.
Same, yeah.
And I love Kamara. I just think you can get more than that.
Okay. So at the end of the day, golly, if you trade Le'Veon Bell, you better be for dang sure that this is where the buck stops in terms of his production, because my goodness, and hold on, wait, I want to look up his finishes because I'm pretty sure that they're all going to have very low numbers next to them in terms of where he's been in the league. So
yeah, I think the years that he didn't have some suspension issues, they're going to be pretty low. Because D'Angelo Williams stepped in and just they didn't miss a beat for a few games those seasons that he was suspended. But
rookie year 2013, he finishes as running back number 14. That's pretty good, right? Fringe RB1. Next year, running back 1. 2015, running back 46. This is when he got hurt or whatever, right? 2016, running back 3. 2017, running back 2.
He plays a full year, you're getting, top 5 running back, right? But I think to Jordan's point, though, you can't ride that train all the time. Eventually, that's going to end, and with the amount of carries that he has, it's a red flag. I think you could probably get at least a couple more years out of him, and I think I'm with Jordan as far as if I'm going to move him, you got to give me multiple pieces. I think right now, though, there are some owners that are panicking already. And so I think you could probably buy him for cheaper than what I'd be willing to sell him for. So
now's the time.
I think you could trade for him cheaper than you could draft him in a startup.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
Wait. Let me say it one more time. You said you think you can trade for him cheaper than you could if you drafted him in a startup. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you could. You look at the deal that I talked about earlier. That's similar valuation for Bell. As it was for Gurley. You could never get that for Bell right now. Or you would never have to give that for Bell right now. So yeah, I think you could trade for him. I think you could probably do multiple pieces. If you're looking, if you're in a short window, I would be comfortable doing that. I wouldn't give up it would depend on what it was, but I think you could trade for him for cheaper than you could acquire him in a startup.
Okay. Fair.
And the longer this goes, the longer he holds out, the cheaper he might get, the more owners might panic. So I maybe I'm not trading for him now. Maybe I'm waiting. Maybe I'm waiting until training camp or the first or second week of preseason when Le'Veon Bell's still not around and nobody knows for sure when he's going to show up. Maybe then that's when I swoop in and get him even cheaper. So I don't know. That's my take. Is that I think there's a buy opportunity. There's going to be a window to buy him pretty cheap. And I think I'd take advantage of that.
I want him to go to the XFL and get out of the Steelers so we could beat them a little easier, hopefully.
Steelers hate me on the back of his jersey?
Yes. Steelers, NFL hate me. Nah.
This is the XFL.
That was pretty good, man. That was good.
Working on my Vince McMahon in my spare time.
Awesome.
So one thing that I was just made aware of that exists is the DLF Dynasty Trade Finder tool. Had no idea this was a thing. But apparently you can look at trades that take place and you can determine obviously what people got for certain players. And just the ones that happened today. I'm not even going to talk about other ones. Just the ones that happened today. And this kind of baffles me. So team that has Le'Veon Bell gives up Emmanuel Sanders and Le'Veon Bell, the 212 and the 312. Okay. In return, they receive Dalvin Cook and Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, no. Wow.
Give me Bell.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Give me the Bell side.
And I get Sanders and a couple. Anyway. Okay, the next one. Le'Veon Bell and the 212 for one of my favorite people in the entire world, Sammy Watkins. So I'm biased. I love Sammy Watkins. So for Sammy Watkins, the 105 and the 205. That's it.
Still seems late to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
I'm the same way. Okay, last one. And again, these are the ones that just happened just today. Le'Veon Bell and the 211 for Keenan Allen, 202, and the 2019 first.
I like Keenan Allen. I'm still going to take the Bell side.
You're gonna have to massively probably overpay me for Le'Veon Bell if I have Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you gotta go Bell.
Wow.
If that's the asking price, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I might have to be overpaid, but yeah, I think that's part of it. Maybe that's part of, today is when the panic is starting to set in a little bit, and maybe that's where the value's at. And if it is, then I think we're all, at least most of us, seem like we're pretty good at buying Bell on all of them. So,
okay, man, Le'Veon Bell. Wow, that's funny. Okay.
All right, guys, real quick. I don't mean to hijack everything, but
no, do it.
I got a question. All right.
It's the open bar.
We got
hours. Let's do this thing.
All right. We got Ricky Seals-Jones, and looks like he was arrested.
No.
Charged with domestic. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody have that reaction for someone being arrested.
Are you celebrating incarceration?
My goodness.
I'm in a league for the first person who gets drafted. You get $10 who gets incarcerated.
Oh my god,
man,
that's crazy.
So someone just won $10, I think.
Wow. Well, yeah, but things aren't looking good for his long term. He's probably facing a suspension with this. He was kind of everyone's darling sleeper, at least a lot of people's sleeper tight end this year. How invested are you guys in him? Anybody have any shares or multiple shares?
Zero.
I've got at least two. Yeah, I've got at least two of mine, and they're both leagues where he's like wide or tight end 2 or 3 on the roster. One of which I have at Evan Ingram, and I think he's the second one just because. And somebody offered me a trade the other day of just cash for him, and I passed just because I'm excited about the upside that he brings. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to sell on him at this point. But obviously this is just incredibly horrible news. But I don't know.
It's like a weird thing in a hotel bathroom. It's kind of a weird story.
Yeah, I just saw a blurb of it kind of before we went on, and so I was just kind of looking now to see if I can figure out some more information. But yeah, I just kind of saw that, and I know that there was a lot of people that were really high on him, getting him later in drafts, or even picking him up off the waiver wire, and we're excited for his opportunity. And then this happens. It's just like, man, it just reminds you sometimes that this time in the fantasy, in fantasy, there's a lot more bad that can happen than good. So you almost just gotta cross your fingers when you're a dynasty, player, and you have a bunch of players rostered that. All right, I don't want to hear anything about this guy. Not until training camp or not until preseason. I don't want to hear anything about this guy because it seems like a lot more bad can happen at this time of the year than good. So yeah, just sometimes it's eye opening when you see stuff like that. Like, man, all right, well, shoot, all the best to him, man. I hope everything works out, and I hope I don't know the whole story. Hopefully it's there's not too much to it, but shoot, man, I mean, it's just a bummer sometimes when you hear about that.
I mean,
just by way of just background here, it looks like it doesn't look like it's domestic violence, so it's not going to kick in a 6-game minimum suspension. It looks like it's relative. It doesn't look like anyone was like seriously hurt or anything like that. It says he appears to be intoxicated, so there's an assault charge in there. It doesn't say, but it's disorderly conduct, trespassing, and assault. It doesn't say if anyone was really injured significantly or anything. Assault can be kind of ambiguous in terms of how it's used as a term, but that's my day job coming in. But yeah, so it's a it's not going to queue up a 6-game suspension. So just keep that in mind.
I seen here they said it. Reading an article here, it says they caught him in a stall, cutting a hole in the stall between both the stalls, and he was just getting the rest of the debris out. You guys are all like, "What?"
Yeah, I'm lost. Lost.
Hey,
I'm looking.
Goes here, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Glory hole. Come on. He's building the glory hole.
It just hit me what you're talking about.
Hey, he was in the club. He was drunk in the bathroom.
No,
Makes
man.
perfect sense.
This story on Pro Football Talk. JT, wow. This story on Pro Football Talk.
Dude, the silence was golden. I just loved it. I was basking in it like sunshine.
Every time JT talks, I feel like I'm on an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Got it.
That's probably about right.
That's my life before that show even came out, man.
What's funny is that they said this news came only hours after the GM for the Cardinals pleaded guilty to extreme DUI, which he was subject to a $200,000 fine from the NFL. Oh, good times in Arizona between Christian Kirkthorne rocks at cars, RSJ trying to make a glory hole, and
according to JT,
and yeah,
allegedly, I'm not sure how much truth there is in that.
The truth according to JT. Man, that's crazy. Anything else you want to hit tonight?
Oh man, I mean, that was all the breaking stuff. We had some stuff today, man. We had some stuff to cover. That was pretty cool.
So much. Oh, one last thing I do want to talk about. RIP to the career of DeMarco Murray, who has chosen to retire from the NFL. Did DeMarco Murray win you guys any titles or anything over the last several years?
I rarely owned DeMarco Murray, and it kind of stunk because I was a fan of his. I really liked him when he came out of Oklahoma, and I liked his NFL career. I always enjoyed watching him, but I rarely ever had him rostered. So no, he didn't win me anything, but I'll definitely miss watching him play. I liked his style of running, so I thought he was always a little underrated, and that's hard for me to say because I traditionally don't like a whole lot of Cowboy players, but I like DeMarco Murray an awful lot. So he'll be missed, that's for sure. I'll miss seeing him play on Sundays.
He always managed to suit up, even when it seemed like he was, questionable trending out. It would seem like he would sort of cut into Derrick Henry's DFS. Derrick Henry's going to be big in DFS, and DeMarco Murray, is a late game time decision, starts and then gets 23 touches to Derrick Henry's 8. And totally reigns on that parade. So, but yeah, he had a great career. It was fun to watch him.
Yeah, he beat me one time pretty good.
Not sending him any Christmas cards, huh, JT? He was from 2013 all the way through last season. He was always an RB2, which is kind of interesting to think about. He had a top 6 finish, top 2 finish, top 5 finish. He was doing work for a while. And I know that I said that was going to be the last thing, but that's not true. There's something that the chat has shouted out that they need, that they must have. Dez Watch. We're on Dez Watch, guys. Dez has obviously, got by the Cowboys months ago. Still doesn't have a home. Turned down Baltimore's offer earlier in the offseason. They've moved on. Doesn't look like he's got any kind of overture since. What is the landing spot for Dez Bryant? And also, do you care?
Yeah, I care. Just because I think Dez in the right situation could still be fantasy relevant. And to me, the Colts need this guy. The Colts need to sign Dez Bryant. He would be such a nice compliment to Ty. Just what Ty does. They don't have what else do they have outside of Ty really there that they can count on?
Chester Rogers.
Yeah, they got and I don't even hate Chester Rogers. I kind of like Chester Rogers a little bit, but no, man. I mean, Dez Bryant on the other side of T.Y. Hilton, I think they would complement each other really well. And if Andrew Luck's healthy, man, load him up with some weapons because if he is healthy, you're doing him no favors with this running game and these pass catchers. I mean, you really aren't. So I think Dez Bryant would be a really good fit there in Indy. Yeah, I guess I kind of have some mixed feelings with him playing on the turf, but maybe that helps a little bit of the speed concern that you have with Dez Bryant. Maybe he's a little bit quicker on that turf, but yeah, I think that's the match right there. I would love to see him end up in Indy.
I'd rather have Steve Smith Sr. over Dez Bryant right now.
Wow.
I ain't joking. I ain't joking at all. I'm serious. I can't stand that guy. I never could.
Oh, I can't. Like after the glory hole comment,
Terrible.
I can't take you serious anymore.
No, it's terrible. It's late, man. You got me up. I'm an old man. You got me up past my bedtime. Losing my mind. I'm living in Cleveland. What do you want me to do? We're nuts here. We've heard everything. But no, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on tonight. Big time. Thank you, guys.
Wait. Wait. We can't just jump out like that, JT. Tell me somewhere. Where do you at least think who signs him, even if you don't want him? What do you think?
Oh, man, Dez Bryant. I mean, only way I can
throw it
anywhere.
Anywhere
Signed is if a team is just hurting at wide receiver mid-season or something. So I mean, and Dallas actually has the worst receivers. I mean, if you want to get serious, but if they're not going to grab him, I mean, who has the worst group of receivers than them? I mean, Colts, I guess.
Buffalo's off.
Buffalo, yeah. I mean, he's not going to Buffalo.
You're right.
Let's face it. He ain't playing in the cold. Come on, he's old.
Jordan, where's he going?
Oh man, I think it probably takes some sort of injury in training camp at this point. I mean, I think if we see someone go down, maybe San Francisco, something like that. I mean, that seems to make some sense. I think if someone goes down in training camp, that would be sort of where I would watch. But I'd be surprised if he signs in the next 5 or 6 days.
Wow, 5 or 6 days.
That's when training camp's starting.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised if it happens before training camp.
All right, J. Mike, you got to tell us where's he going?
Yeah,
you got to give us the answer now. Yes, it's a question.
I always try to get out of answering the questions that I ask. I just like asking the questions. Even though Buffalo's trash, I don't think he'd ever go ever. I think he'd want to go somewhere that will actually sign him, pay him a lot of money. And give him the opportunity to do something later in terms of parlaying that into a longer deal. With that in mind, I look at somewhere like San Francisco, who has made a living the last 2 years of paying people short deals for tons of money, i.e. Richard Sherman, i.e. Juszczyk. There's one more I'm forgetting about. I think Garcon might have been a pretty heavy-handed contract as well. I could totally see him landing there and just being an option for Jimmy G. And I will be really curious to see how Shanahan uses him, which would just be like, man, that'd be something. So I'm going to throw out the 49ers. And that was actually one of the options that Jake threw out. But when you kind of put things together, just kind of how they look, I think Indianapolis will be a nice, like you just said, James, from a compliment standpoint, him complimenting T.Y. Hilton, that's a great compliment. And especially if Andrew Luck is healthy and right, man, that could be fun too. But my money's going to be on the 49ers at this point. And I think that we talked so much Dez that JT was done, and he was just like, screw you guys, I'm out of here. So if he comes back in, we'll let him plug whatever he's got going on and go from there. But before we head out, we'll go in reverse order this time. So James, tell us where we can find you on Twitter, what you're working on, things of that nature.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter at @JamesTheBrain. I'm writing over at DLF, and which is DynastyLeagueFootball.com. You can find my stuff there. You can also find the podcast, the Superflex Super Show, which you can follow on Twitter at Superflex Show. You can find all our episodes posted there under the podcast link on DLF, also on iTunes, Podbean, all that good stuff too. Yeah, we just our last episode we released. We had JJ Zacharyson on, and the Mr. at Late Round Quarterback, and it was a really fun episode that we dropped. So you can find that all there.
Awesome. Last but not least, the author. Now, I mean, out of all the things that you've done, like you get to add author to that. I think that's pretty stinking cool. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. It's been pretty cool. I am a writer, and I do podcasts at uthdynasty.com. I also have my book, and I'm throwing up some previews of some content over at analyticsofdynasty.com. You can pre-order the book. If you pre-order before September 1st, we'll do a one-on-one strategy session. We can talk trades. We can talk if you got a startup draft, whatever. I'll give you a free preview of the analytics we got going on. And yeah, it's up on the screen there. Look at that. And
boom.
We can
get you.
Yeah, I got my new logo and everything. It's right there. Thanks to my wife for hooking that up for me. Yeah, so check out Analytics of Dynasty. You can pre-order the book. It's $25 before September 1st. We'll get on. We'll do a one-on-one strategy session, and we can do it.
Very good. As you can see here, this is the website, analyticsofdynasty.com. Go check it out. And again, one-on-one strategy session with one of the sharpest folks that I've been able to have the privilege of meeting in the Dynasty community.
We'll say one thing.
Definitely check him out. JT's back. JT, where can the people find you on Twitter? What do you got going on? Where can we find your work? Anything? What's going on?
I launched my brand new website this 24th, probably like around 1 or 2 p.m. It's a Tuesday. TheDynastyScout.com. I will be doing all the rankings, analysis for every player, free content. Nothing's cut off. You get all full players. I'm going deep on everything, Devi, IDP. I got the rookies up now. If you guys want to take a look, you can sneak peek it now, watch it in progress, and that's me, man. 3.5 years in the making. So,
and where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
At Fat Adam Schefter.
There you have it.
And then at the Dynasty Scout, which was available, and I was surprised. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like one that you shouldn't be able to get. Like somebody should already have that. But I'm glad you were able to get it. This is the site. Yeah, yep. This is the site, folks. Check it out. Again, thedynastyscout.com. And again, like you said, official launch coming up. And this coming up Tuesday. That's exciting stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, I want to make a site that's a workhorse for when you're drafting. You know, I don't want a lot of graphics, a lot of videos. I want you to be able to get into it, the meat of it, in midst of your draft. You know, 20th round, 13th, 30th. I want you to be able to go on and that bottom there is a field I played football on in high school.
Oh, is it? Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. Yeah. So,
way to get that in there. Very good. Good stuff. Appreciate that, sir. Wow, I get to close this out again solo. It's so weird not having Gabe do the closeout. Anyway,
miss you, Gabe.
Definitely miss you, Gabe.
Yeah, miss you, man.
He is probably somewhere learning a 5th language or something. I don't know. Actually, you know what? He had pictures from the summit from Trump And no, I'm just kidding. People get upset when I say that. So again,
was he the translator? Was he the translator?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
When he vehemently denied hack job. Anyhow, yeah. Sorry if I'm upsetting anyone with my.
Not at all.
Again, to everyone that's in the chat, thank you guys for being with us this evening. All the usuals were out and popping, and Kenny was back as well. Thanks again for rejoining us, Kenny. Again, you can find us on Twitter at the Open Bar FP. Again, the Open Bar FP, as in fake pigskin. Those are the folks that put us on. Shout out to Regan and company for giving us a platform to be able to do what we thoroughly enjoy, which is just be able to kick it, chop it up with some folks to talk dynasty and things of that nature. Stepney, I see you. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Mike Stepney there. You can find me on Twitter at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck on Twitter. And again, Tuesday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time is when you can find the live show on YouTube. But as far as podcast form, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, and the list goes on and on. So again, thank you guys so much for the support. We are humbled by it. We appreciate it very much. And I can speak for Gabe when I say that. And typically this is the point where we take our glasses, do the big cheers. I'm out of my drink. Cheers to you, gentlemen. Again, thank you guys for being with us. Y'all check them out on Twitter. Check out their work on DLF for UTH, analyticsdynasty.com. thedynastyscout.com. Check these guys out. Support them because they're doing great work as well. Until next time, deuces.